Grandad kills stepdaughter and husband, then takes children to McDonald's. Derek Martin killed Chloe Bashford and Joshua Bashford. Well, you guys, this case is seriously jaw-dropping and utterly egregious in every way possible. When a man in his late 60s decided to brutally murder his stepdaughter, then her husband, leaving their 4 children orphaned. Horrific. And after his unforgivable and appalling crimes, he went on to take the murdered married couple's children out for a McDonald's and a Costa coffee. Just atrocious. Warning, this episode contains distressing details throughout and probably will include bad language, knowing me. So discretion is advised. Back on the 9th of June 2023, a very dishevelled and intoxicated male walked into Brighton Police Station in England and just plainly stated, "I've killed 2 people.
What's happened today? You've killed 2 people, okay. Do you suffer with any mental health? Can I just ask quickly? Sorry? A bit. What's that? Okay. You got anything on you currently, apart from all that property? You got anything in your pockets? Do you mind just pulling out your pockets for me? What's that from? A knife? Have you got a knife on you? Okay.
But what would make this man suddenly kill 2 people? Well, this story is a little odd and confusing, and I shall try and condense it and explain it in a nutshell. What may have led to this ghastly double murder? This is Derek Martin, a man in his late 60s, who wasn't a new face to police. He had spent many years behind bars for things like burglary and other offences, but nothing like double murder. His connection to the couple he so callously and brutally murdered is a little strange, but I shall try to describe it for you. So Derek used to be in a relationship, or married to, with children, with Chloe's mother, Elaine. Chloe is the female whose life he so cruelly stole. The thing is, both Derek and Chloe's mother, Elaine, had been divorced for a long time before Chloe had even entered this world. So a little odd to be friends. Nonetheless, they were. At some point over the years, and in between his prison stays, Derek would reconnect with his past lover, Elaine, which then led to contact with Chloe, her husband, Josh, and their 4 children. They even made a connection, and Chloe would sort of look at Derek as a father figure, a stepdad, who she trusted in general, even taking care of her children often. He became a close family friend, who they all believed was a good enough guy. Despite his time in prison, they felt he was a good man at heart, just with his own issues, like anxiety and depression. Don't we all, pal? He was on medication for these, but had apparently, for whatever reason, stopped taking his medication around 6 months before the murders. So he says. Not only did he have these so-called mental health issues, but he also had a huge gambling addiction, which had ultimately led him to being in £8,000 worth of debt, and no way to pay it off. But it's always someone else's fault, right? He was a ticking fucking time bomb that would end up erupting randomly one summer's day in 2023. Derek was known to pick up and drop off Chloe and Josh's children, and would also take them to places like Costa Coffee for a hot drink, or the famous McDonald's, of which nearly all kids just love to visit, don't they? It's always a good surprise when a known adult says, "Let's go to Mackey's!" Woo! Unfortunately, on this tragic day, their trip to McDonald's was really just a huge cover-up and time-wasting effort for an incredibly sick double murderer to cover his ghastly deeds to his own victims' 4 children. Completely despicable on every goddamn level. They had no idea that back at their home lay their deceased, loving mother and father. Chloe and Josh Bashford were an incredibly loving married couple with 4 gorgeous children who adored their mum and dad as much as they loved and adored them. Their eldest son, Brooklyn, who is now around 18, described his parents as amazing people and that they were the perfect parents, and added how they were always there for us. An incredibly loving couple who many people adored. Both in their 30s, Josh being only 33 and Chloe just 30 when murdered in their own home. They still had their whole lives ahead of them, cruelly stolen by someone they trusted. Brooklyn. Now, look, I just want to say, guys, because of my accent, I say Brooklyn, but I know many people say Brooklyn, so I'm sorry if I pronounce it both ways in this story, forgive me. My brain doesn't know which one to choose. Okay, so Brooklyn described Derek in the past as being a grandfather figure, and said how he was easy to be around. So they obviously did gain a bond with this man. A trusting connection, of which he would completely violate in the worst ways possible. Brooklyn also said, though, that Derek had a bad temper and that he could switch up easily. So his darker side had made appearances. Still, no one ever expected what egregious crimes he would go on to commit. It was the 9th of June 2023 in sunny England. England's hardly ever sunny, so just like... Supposed to be just another completely normal day. Josh and Chloe Bashford lived in a place called Newhaven, which is a port town in a district of East Sussex, here in England. Lying at the mouth of the River Ouse. I think that's how you say it. I have no idea, sorry if I said that wrong, guys. I forgot to actually search that before I did this. A beautiful seaside town with a horrifying tale to tell. Derek, by the way, lived around a 20-minute drive from the Bashford family in a place called Brighton, also in East Sussex. It is the seaside resort of the city of Brighton and Hove. Being so near, he would make often appearances in Chloe, Josh's and their 4 children's lives, effectively acting as a stepfather and a step-grandfather to them all, and helping the couple out when they needed it. This major abuse of trust is truly unforgivable. Those poor, innocent children having to live the rest of their lives without the presence of their loving mother or father, completely completely unbelievable. Why do I write words I can't pronounce? I don't know. Like, why though? On the morning of the 9th of June, Derek would be seen on CCTV taking his referred to stepdaughter out for breakfast at a place called the Stonehouse Restaurant over in Peacehaven, a completely normal morning routine that Chloe often led with her trusted stepdad and future killer Derek Martin. He even trusted her to breakfast, you guys. How sick is that? And little did she know that this very meal would be her last ever on this wicked place we call Earth. Following their breakfast trip, both Derek and Chloe returned to the Bashford family home on Lewis Road in Newhaven. It was said that over the years, Derek would loan the couple bits of money here and there, helping them out whenever they really needed it. Remember, his gambling addiction had left him in £8,000 worth of debt, of which he needed to repay. He felt he needed reimbursing for the money too, that he had loaned to the couple. Now, at this point, it is said that a mere £200 was owed to Derek from Chloe and Josh. That's all. Nothing really off of an £8,000 worth of debt. But he felt he was owed it, which officially I guess he was really, but they were pretty much family to him. The debt he ran up was all his own doing, and not the Bashford couple's problem. But Derek would put all of his focused anger on his own situation fully onto the innocent Chloe and her husband too. Apparently, as the two only people who were there cannot speak for themselves, Derek stated that the two engaged in a heated argument, as in him and Chloe, about the money he was owed, and he felt he was always being used by people. That was his words he used in court, which just infuriated him even more, as Chloe didn't seem to be in any rush to pay the man back. He was cleaning windows at the time, apparently, which was around 12:15 p.m, claiming he then just flipped. He turned around and with all of his might hit the poor mother of four straight down on her head with a fucking sledgehammer. My, I didn't know you needed a sledgehammer to clean windows. Did you guys? We literally only have his story, account of events, and the CCTV to match up what happened that day. We shall never truly know what led to the crimes that he committed. But following the brutal blows to the head with the sledgehammer, Derek wasn't finished. Oh no. He then went on to retrieve a large knife. Then he used it to repeatedly and violently stab the young mother as she lay on her own kitchen floor, in a place she should have been safe, dying and wondering, what did I do to ever deserve such an uncalled for and ferocious attack?
First hit Chloe with a sledgehammer on the head. And I got a knife and stabbed her.
He stabbed Chloe 8 times after the blows to the head, remember? Man, he really wanted her to die. His anger and rage powered 2 of those stab wounds an incredible 20 centimetres deep. Holy shit, that's 7 inches, you guys. Just imagine that. Utterly unbelievable. A totally ferocious attack, to say the very least. Then leaving his so-called stepdaughter to bleed out and die in agony on her cold kitchen floor, in a place she should have always been safe, her own home, by a man she trusted implicitly, her own stepdad. Then the vile murderer realised, shit, Josh will be home soon, so he decided to literally lie in wait for the man, to catch the unsuspecting father of 4 as he entered his own humble abode, just expecting to find his beautiful wife waiting for him. He hunted Josh down, still grasping that very knife he used to take Chloe's life just minutes before, confronting Josh immediately as he entered his own home. I can only imagine how dark his eyes were, to be met with that face covered in blood and clutching a huge bloody knife. The innocent father knew he had to run for his life, of which he did, straight upstairs, but the killer, Derek Martin, was intent on also taking his life that day, and by the sounds of it, all over a measly £200 loan the couple owed to him. Pathetic. So he basically priced their lives at £100 each, of which the act didn't make him receive a penny, so what was the fucking point in that? Sorry for all the swearing, I'm genuinely enraged and my heart just bleeds for those 4 orphan children. Derek chased Josh into his own bedroom, where he went on to unleash another crazy violent attack. He stabbed him relentlessly. Josh also showed blunt force trauma to both his head and neck. Brutal attack, you guys. But he wasn't a small man. I imagine he put up a huge fight for his life. Derek was probably getting overpowered. Panicking and desperate to kill Josh, he then turned to use a ligature around the father's neck, which was perhaps a belt located on the scene. He strangled the air out of Josh, giving him no more chances to fight for his life. Josh had nothing left to give. Stabbed, beaten and strangled, he would also be callously left to die alone. But Derek was then planning on how to get away with his horrific crimes. He moved methodically through the family's home. He removed doorknobs. Why? I don't know. Perhaps DNA, blood, or just making it harder to enter certain rooms for the police. He also took steps to hide evidence of what he had just done, removing his blood-soaked clothes and changing into fresh, clean clothing. Derek was thinking so clearly at that time. He even remembered to remove the family's Ring door cam. Vital evidence to prove his guilt. Following his sick deeds, Derek would then go on to collect Chloe's young children from school, totally unaware they were all now orphans. Just terrible, isn't it? The couple's eldest son, Brooklyn, had that day just sat one of his GCSE exams, a pivotal time in any child's school life. At around 2 p.m, he would be walking out of school with his friends when he received a text from Derek, the man he referred to as a grandfather figure. The text simply said, "Meet me at Costa." Brooklyn said this happened all of the time, so nothing was out of the ordinary. The young boy arrived at Costa to find Derek sitting, drinking a coffee with his 2 younger sisters, aged 12 and 7, and his little brother, aged just 4. Ugh, heartbreaking. Derek even stated to the teenage boy that his parents had had a big argument. Probably his cover-up to keep the children away from the family home a little longer, pretending to protect them, when he knows full well he just killed all of their mum and dad. Brooklyn also said that Derek then went on to be and act completely normal, talking about the usual topics like football. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary or to worry about at that point. So now everyone has finished their hot drinks. What now? Derek bundles the kids into his car and headed back to New Haven. The children assuming that they were going home, so were then confused when he turned into the Sainsbury's supermarket car park and randomly leapt out without saying a word. This is so sinister, you guys, as what he was actually doing was discarding of the now deceased Chloe Bashford's phone. Probably because he could feel and see that her children were trying to contact her. He would have no good reason for having her phone on him. Derek had run to a corner of the car park, threw Chloe's phone in the bushes there, and returned back to where all of her children were waiting. I just wonder what was running through this sicko's mind in those moments. Sensing things were starting to feel odd, Derek was acting erratically and suspiciously, but they could never imagine the reasons why. Chloe and Josh's 12-year-old daughter sat in the back of the car, becoming concerned as to receiving no replies from her very reliable and caring mother, Chloe. None of her previous texts from that day had been answered either. She even started to worry her mum was annoyed at her, the poor duck, sending her a text which wrote, "Are you mad with me?" Man, that's so sad. So her absence and lack of response to messages from her kids was clearly not normal behaviour. From Sainsbury's, Derek then took everyone for a cheeky Mackey's. Again, this was a usual thing that he would do, but the killer was purely just biding his time here. Seen smoking outside, probably thinking, where the fuck do I take them next? I can't take them home, and they're starting to twig something's up. The kids expected to then head home, but instead, their, as they thought, caring grandfather figure would head towards Brighton, where he lived. One of the young girls even asked Derek where their mum and dad was, and what was going on. I can only imagine his panic in those moments. Brooklyn stated he noticed the man seemed stressed and was a bit snappy with the children and their questions. I wonder why, hey? He didn't take the kids home, nor to his house, but instead he took them all to his ex-wife's home, Elaine, the children's biological grandmother. Now this was odd, and was out of the ordinary, What's going on? Why are we here? Instructing the eldest child, Brooklyn, to take his younger siblings inside, while claiming he was going to look for a parking space, he just completely abandoned them all and drove away. It was clear that the grandmother was not expecting any visitors, let alone 4 children to care for, as she was at the time busy packing to go away for the weekend with her husband, Graham. They were both equally very surprised to see the children standing there, which Brooklyn found weird, still not imagining the pure horrors waiting back at his family's home. Everyone then kept attempting to call Derek, but with no luck. Then, at 6:11 p.m, he would send an incredibly ominous and worrying message with urges to not return to the Bashfords' home with the children. This was to Elaine, the children's grandmother and Chloe's mum. It said, "Elaine, I'm so sorry. I can't believe what I've done. I know everyone hates me anyway, especially the boys. I hate myself anyway, and please look after the children really well." God, just picture being a mother and receiving that message. How awful. And playing the poor me victim card. What a callous bastard. At least he cares about the kids, hey? Aww. You know, the 4 children he just orphaned? Oh, but you did buy them a Happy Meal. How kind. Chloe's 12-year-old daughter sent another very worried message to her mum saying, "Mum, please answer. We're all worried sick." Oh, bless her little heart. But of course she received no reply. Her mother's phone was in a bush, and she lay dead in her home. So what did Derek do next? Well, he decided to get very intoxicated. He headed to a shop and purchased himself some cool beers, plus some cigarettes, and then headed to the beach to enjoy his last views as a free man, sipping his beers and smoking, watching the waves and listening to the ocean. He knew he was fucked, and it was only a matter of time for him. So following this, at around 7 p.m, is when he chose to walk in to Brighton police station and plainly say, "I've murdered 2 people," where it seems the officers observed a clear knife wound from the vicious and violent attacks.
What's happened today? You've killed 2 people, okay. Do you suffer with any mental health? Can I just ask quickly? Sorry? A bit. What's that? Okay. You got anything on you currently, apart from all that property? You got anything in your pockets? Do you mind just pulling out your pockets for me? What's that from? A knife. Have you got a knife on you? Okay. Charlie Room 116.
He was, of course, arrested, and the police would go on to locate both Chloe and Josh's deceased bodies in the bedroom of their home. So he must have even moved Chloe. He would be taken into interrogation, where he went on to disclose exactly how he murdered both of them.
Right, so do you want to stand up for us? The time is now 7:12, okay? You're under arrest on the suspicion of murder times 2. Do not say anything, however, may harm defence if you do not mention when questions, and then we shall later align in court. Anything you do say may be given as evidence. The reason for this is that you've stated you've murdered 2 people. Officers have attended your address and have found 2 bodies, okay? Necessity is for your arrest for a prompt and effective investigation by means of special warnings and a recorded interview, okay, and to prevent any further harm and your loss. You understand all that? Okay.
First hit Chloe with a sledgehammer on the head. And I've got a knife and stabbed her. Didn't want to stab him anymore. Got quite something on his neck. Stab him.
Apparently, he would get emotional when discussing the children, saying, "I wanted to take them to McDonald's to have dinner. Then I wanted to take them home and look after them, but I couldn't." He said Chloe's daughter kept texting him at the beach, asking where he was. She was clearly confused and in distress. So, clear confession? Case closed, hey? Well, not exactly. This case dragged out for 2.5 years. How? I have no idea. But that's the British justice system for you. He admitted to manslaughter but not murder, claiming diminished responsibility. I'm trying to think what they call that in America. I'll find out and put it on the screen. Or what they call similar to diminished responsibility in America. Because of his depressive mental state at the time. Hey, that's a new one. How many times have we heard this? Having said that, it was proven that he'd had a very traumatic childhood, suffered abuse, and that it had impacted his later life. But come on, that's no excuse to go just turn around and murder 2 people. He had clear planning, even waiting for Josh to return, hiding his crimes, changing his clothes, then removed the camera and taking the kids out afterwards. Oh, and of course, discarding of Chloe's phone. He knew exactly what he was doing, the sicko. Just doesn't want to face prison. After a long-endured 2.5-year wait, the case would finally head to court, lasting 3 weeks, at Lewes Crown Court in Brighton, where many of Chloe and Josh's loved ones would gather, fingers crossed for a guilty of murder sentence. Hearing the details of what happened to the much-loved and adored couple must have been nothing less than horrific and intolerable. But finally, after a gruelling 3-week trial, the jury would unanimously find 67-year-old Derek Martin guilty of 2 counts of murder on Friday the 24th of October 2025. Remanded in custody, he then appeared again at the same court on Thursday the 6th of November 2025, where he was informed that he must serve a minimum of 29 years imprisonment, which was bloody reduced to 26 years, 7 months and 7 days for the time he had already served in custody. Bollocks to that rule, like seriously, that always pisses me off. I do have some footage from the court, which I can play for you now.
Derek Martin, you have been convicted by a jury of the murders of Chloe and Joshua Bashford on the 9th of June 2023. I must now sentence you for your crimes. There were 4 children in the family. At the time of their parents' deaths, they were aged 15, 12, 7 and 4. You were 64 years old then, and you are 67 now. You had known Chloe since she was a baby. She is the daughter of your former wife. You knew the Bashford family well. You had become close to them, and you spent a lot of time with Chloe and the children. You helped her with them, and you did jobs around the family home. One of the children described you as like a granddad, and said you and his mum got on well, and you would joke together. Chloe described you to others as her stepdad. Having dropped the children off at school, you and Chloe had breakfast together at the local carvery. You did some jobs around the house. Then shortly after 12:16 p.m. that day, you launched a ferocious attack on Chloe. You hit her on the head with a hammer, doing so multiple times. Whilst she was no doubt incapacitated by the blows to her head, you put down the hammer and took a knife from the kitchen and stabbed her 8 times, 5 times to her upper back and 3 times to her abdomen. 2 of the stab wounds penetrated to a depth of approximately 20 centimetres. Photographs of the room in which her body was found show extensive blood staining on the floor and furniture. Joshua arrived home from work a few minutes later at approximately 12:20 because the 3 of you had made a plan to look at a new car. You chased Joshua upstairs, slashing his back with a knife. Then in the master bedroom, you stabbed him 4 times to the front of his body. 1 of the stab wounds penetrated to a depth of 12 centimetres. As he was dying from the stab wounds, you put down the knife and strangled him. After the fatal attacks, you cleaned up the knife and some of the blood stains. You took the door handles off the doors of the rooms where the bodies were. Then you went to pick up the younger children from school and told the older children to meet you at Costa Coffee. You bought them drinks. Then you took them to McDonald's for food before dropping them off at their grandmother's house. You asked her to look after the children. At approximately 1850, you walked into the police station and told the police officer at the desk that you had murdered 2 people. At 1912 that evening, you were arrested on suspicion of murder after a police search had located the bodies of Chloe and Joshua. In August 2023, you pleaded not guilty to murder, but guilty to manslaughter on grounds of diminished responsibility. This is a partial defence to the charge of murder. Where it applies, it reduces what would otherwise be an offence of murder to an offence of manslaughter. Your plea was not ultimately accepted by the prosecution, and you stood trial for the murders of Chloe and Joshua. Dr. Cumming and Professor Faisal told the court that your case is particularly complex. All the psychiatrists agreed that you have a recurrent depressive disorder, and you were suffering from mild to moderate depression at the time of the killings, the effects of which were exacerbated by your underlying personality difficulties. All the psychiatrists agreed that any loss of self-control on your part was hard to reconcile with your use of different weapons during both attacks and with the second killing, that of Joshua. By their verdicts, the jury rejected the partial defence of diminished responsibility as available to you and considered you should bear full responsibility for your actions. Your attacks were driven by rage and resentment. For the murder of 2 people, the starting point is 30 years. I then have to consider aggravating and mitigating factors. Whilst you have been in and out of prison for much of your life, mainly for thieving, you have no previous convictions for violence. I give very limited weight to your age. The lengthy prison sentence you face is a consequence of your own actions in killing 2 people in your 60s. Having assessed the aggravating and mitigating factors in the round, I have concluded that the mitigating factors somewhat outweigh the aggravating factors and justify a slight reduction to the starting point. Derek Martin, please stand up. The sentence for murder is fixed by law. This means that there is only one sentence I can pass. On each count of murder, the sentence is life imprisonment. The minimum term will be 29 years, reduced by 878 days to reflect the days you have spent on remand and custody, to a minimum term of 26 years, 7 months and 7 days. Please go with the dock officer.
Upon his sentencing, Justice Thornton Casey paid tribute to the Bashford family for their dignity throughout the prolonged investigation that dragged out way longer than it ever should have. She commented how the attacks were driven by rage and resentment, and how the murders of Chloe and Josh had caused profound grief to their families, telling Derek, "As a result of your actions, their families will suffer for the rest of their lives." During his time in custody, Derek saw a Sussex police-issued appeal for Chloe's missing phone and passed on this note to the prison guards. "iPhone, in bush, coming out of Sainsbury's New Haven, just before turning ground corner to go into the Premier Inn, where police would later recover it. Her phone contained vital evidence which was later used at trial." Elaine, Chloe's grieving mother and Derek's ex-wife, and mother of, I think, 4 of his children, but not Chloe, told the court, "My life will never be the same," stating that following the loss of her daughter and her husband, that she was putting on a brave face for everyone and the couple's 4 children, as she goes on to take on the role in raising all of them. Adding how Chloe would have felt safe in Derek's presence, which is the most heartbreaking part of all. He wasn't a stranger. He was her acting stepfather. She trusted this man. Josh's brother, Billy, and the couple's eldest son, Brooklyn, bravely spoke out after the court case was adjourned.
It's just a relief for everyone. we just want it all done with, so it's like a chapter closed, everything's done, we can move on finally. I mean, it's what he deserves. We all give him more if we could, but I think we're all pretty satisfied with what he got. And he'll never come out again, which is the important thing.
Everyone's lives have been torn apart and completely changed, and we have to find a new reality now. We have to find a new normal. And like Brooklyn here, you know, the biggest thing is obviously the kids. Yes, we've got the sentence in, and yes, we've got the justice we deserve, but it won't change about how we feel, and it won't change what's happened.
The 18-year-old son says he has nightmares and constant flashbacks of the day his parents died. Oh, how awful. Probably reliving the little talks of football around the Happy Meals as Chloe and Josh lay dead at home. Oh, my heart bleeds for them all. At the trial, Derek had stated how he felt he was getting used all of the time, and he could not do enough for people, and he had got into a lot of debt himself as well. A year through your own bloody gambling addiction, you fool. And the £200 they owed you, that meant you had to take their lives, did it? Was it really about money? What do you all think? He claimed he just lost it. Just flipped. Really? Double murder for a couple of £100? Not sure I believe that myself. But again, we may never know the full truth about what really happened in that family home that day. As 2 out of the 3 people that were there no longer have a voice to tell their story. That must have been some serious rage that he had that day, to kill his so-called stepdaughter in such a despicable manner, and find the power to go on and successfully murder her big, strong husband is frankly quite unreal. He had a mission that day that he would complete, no matter what. Was his rage solely towards Chloe and Josh just collateral damage? After claiming diminished responsibility through depressive issues, 5 separate and independent psychiatrists were instructed to assess whether Derek could use this as his defence. The court would hear that he was suffering a mild to moderate depressive episode at the time of the attack, but it wouldn't matter in the long run, thank God. So, if this pathetic piece of shit actually manages to live to the age of his earliest release date, he will be around 93. So yeah, it's basically a life sentence, and I hope he does live as long as possible, but dies behind bars. He doesn't ever deserve the chance to breathe free, fresh air ever again. Leaving 4 children to experience all of what life holds for them without the love and support of either of their caring mum or dad. Proms, first car, marriages, babies, moving in with your partners, any health issues that they may face. They will never have the option to call up mum or dad for advice, help, or just a genuine catch-up. He stole all of that away from all 4 of these innocent children. Despicable. Leaving countless people utterly heartbroken for eternity. Many people turned out to say goodbye to the happy, amazing, and perfect parents who were always there for their children. Josh's coffin was draped in his favourite football club's colours of Crystal Palace, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but it's the only one that looks the same colours and style kit, so I'm pretty sure it's Crystal Palace. Loved ones were seen wearing the football shirts in honour of the late and much loved and respected Josh Bashford. Chloe's coffin was adorned with beautiful white flowers in her memory. An incredibly hard and heart-wrenching day for all involved, no doubt. Sometimes the intense loss and grief doesn't fully hit until the funeral day. Brooklyn and Billy say the murders of Josh and Chloe have completely torn their families apart. There is not a day that goes by that they don't think of them both. Holidays, birthdays, Christmases are now just all painful reminders of what was taken from them. Brooklyn says he knows that pain will never fade. He has shattered an entire family. We will always remember them. I will never forgive him. None of us will. They were the best parents anyone could wish for, he said, and we miss them every day. Just utterly heartbreaking, isn't it? I wish nothing but the best for Chloe and Josh's 4 children and all that they face in life. I just can't imagine what they must be going through. But they will always have each other, a true bond that will never be broken. Spread your wings, guys, and make your mum and dad proud. To Josh and Chloe Bashford, fly high, angels, and rest in heaven, together forevermore. I have no doubt they are watching over all of the ones they love and embracing one another till the end of time. Time never ends. This horrifying and despicable case is a stark reminder to people, to everyone, to be so incredibly careful as to who you invite into your homes and lives, especially who you trust with your children. People can hold up brilliant facades. It's hard to tell who loves and cares for you and who is truly evil deep down. Stay safe, everyone, and thank you for being here for another Random Gen episode. Liking, commenting and subscribing to my channel. I really, really appreciate it. Until next time, Random Gen.